In the midst of this ongoing pandemic, registering to vote has taken on added significance.
Where voter registration drives often met with success, high schools, colleges, even naturalization ceremonies, they're all now shut down.
We're out for a cause.
The plan is to get the word out to register to vote.
People get out and vote.
I'm just a dad who's trying to get people registered to vote for change.
The pandemic has slowed down registration numbers, but could the protests and a push for change actually turn those numbers around?
From businesses shut down or slowed down to social distancing measures, the coronavirus pandemic has brought many challenges and uncertainty, especially surrounding the upcoming election.
Navigating the pandemic with getting people registered to vote, I think would present a challenge in most election years. But I think with what you're seeing is that there's just so much motivation right now for people to vote, so much excitement, so much desire for change, that pandemic or no pandemic, they don't care. They want to get registered, they want to vote.
Steven Delgado has been hosting voter registration drives across town.
Us now bringing the voter registration to the community. Try to set up in places that we feel that are heavily crowded, that people go to.
He and his partners set up outside local restaurants or coffee shops, hoping the convenience will attract new voters.
The influx of more people who are getting deputized to register to vote, it's becoming more accessible because we're going to them now, right? As opposed to having to go into the elections office to get registered to vote. Now they can come and get a coffee. Now they can come and do, and I've been wanting to try Bandit barbecue, and I can get registered to vote at the same time. Boom, I can knock out two birds with one stone.
People are really appreciative that we are coming to them and getting it knocked out, because a lot of people, don't really know where to go outside of getting their license renewed or getting an ID of getting registered to vote.
The Radical Registrars is another group working to make the registration process easier. Valerie Reinhardt is one of the founders of the group that banded together after recent protests over the death of George Floyd and racial injustice.
So I was like, I think somebody should take advantage of getting these people registered to vote. Before I went out to my second protest on June 3rd, I went and became deputized, and then I literally went right out there, and then I found the other people who are doing it. And since we have registered over 600 people to vote, we have helped over 20 people become deputized so they can get people registered to vote as well.
Reinhardt said while she learned the importance of voting growing up,
my parents always encouraged us to vote, so it was just something that naturally when I turned 18 that I knew I was going to do.
It wasn't until this year that she really felt the need to get informed and involved.
Especially people of color, people need to think about voting as a vehicle of helping our community be safer, because we're not safe right now. And voting, and especially voting locally, will do that.
Many times we have situations where the population, especially the underrepresented population, feel as though that their voice is not be heard. And so we want to get them that opportunity and facilitate them to register to vote here.
Abdul Rahim helped put on a drive-through registration event on the city's east side, where he hopes to amplify the voice of the local Muslim community.
We have a small Islamic community here in this particular area on 530 WW White. So what we're trying to do is bring out the vote, and we're trying to also establish our presence in the community. We're a small group of Muslims. We're one of the first Islamic bodies in this city under the leadership of a person called Imam Warithuddin Muhammad. And that really paved the way for Islam to be practiced in this city.
Delgado, too, says it's his heritage and family that motivates him.
And then just starting to learn more about, my history of Latinos, in this country, and just starting to get more involved. I wanted to be a better role model for my daughter. Today, she put on her Future Voter t-shirt. She helps me with my signage for my registration. But that's where I feel like I'm doing something good, is because now my daughter wants to get involved. And so now she will be ready. I can't wait till that day that she can go and vote when she turns 18. It's gonna be a proud moment for me, because it's something I didn't experience and I didn't do. Politics was not embedded in my family. It was not preached to us. It was not told us that, hey, when you turn 18, you're gonna vote. My first election was when I was 29 years old. And the only reason I voted was because my daughter was gonna be born the next year, and my voting precinct was across the street.
Voting was just always something that I just knew that I needed to do.
So tell me about your first time voting.
I remember feeling a bit intimidated. just not being informed, seeing railroad commissioner on there and just kind of picking the least offensive name, or just skipping over constable, or and just not going in there informed, like, was my biggest downfall. And I feel like I'd always like leave there feeling just like, you know, like, I did it, it's a good thing, but like, what did I actually do?
Voting informed is also a mission behind Radical Registrars, which is one way they make sure they have an impact beyond the registration deadline.
At the June 15th cutoff, when we couldn't register any more people to vote for the runoff election, we were just like, let's do a voting guide. Like, let's know like who these people are. And
We get caught up in the presidential election, and we think that's the most important thing. And you soon realize when you start to, take the layers back, that the Senate's important, Congress is important, mayor, your local leadership is important.
I need to know who these local people are, and everybody else needs to know who these local people are too, so we can really feel change. You're not going to feel change just voting once every 4 years. You'll feel it staying involved in voting every time there's an election.
And if you go there and you are intimidated and you don't feel comfortable, message me, call me, text me, and I'll go with you and I'll physically take you to go vote, because your vote matters and we need to make sure that you cast your vote.
That's really the gap that we're trying to close here. Not only register, but the willingness to get out and actually vote. And so we want to empower those people to feel as though what they have to contribute is significant. We want it.